Well, joining me now in the studio is our political editor, Jane Patterson. Evening, Jane. Right, well, the TikTok is running down at the moment. So the two big parties, National and Labour, how are they both ending the week?
Look, it's really do or die for National, as we've been talking about. Judith Collins started off strong, but really she's had a week dogged by distractions, and she will be making a last ditch for those swing voters. But really, with those big early voting figures, I think that the die is probably nearly cast for National. And if she cannot bring that party vote up over 30%, then I think we'll be talking about her role as leader pretty soon after that election, if she hasn't done the job that she was chosen to do, and that's keep it around that kind of 35% mark.
Yeah, that's her own benchmark, isn't it? The
that's
35% mark.
35% is not a long-term option, so we'll be seeing if she especially dips below 30. I think she's in real trouble there as leader. For Labour, Jacinda Ardern's had a strong campaign, no major controversies. The main challenge for her has been batting off that wealth tax attack. She was forced to take a position even before she gets to the negotiating table if they end up there as a result of pressure for National. So I do think that has had an effect and probably had some cut through with some of those older voters that have been the target of that campaign. They are going to have to watch out for complacency, for entitlement. If they come back with a bigger caucus there, that'll be the problem for a second term government, and also they'll be now looking to really maximise that party vote so that they have the option of potentially governing alone come Saturday night or come Monday.
How do they reconcile that friction? You know, you mentioned the wealth tax there, and Jacinda Ardern gave a really hard no, basically a prime ministerial guarantee, much the same as she did with super, yet you're still seeing Marama Davidson and James Shaw saying, no, it's coming, it's going to be on the table.
Well, she's taking her party's political, the potential for damage and parking it. As we saw in 2017, they were very vulnerable on tax. That capital gains tax that Bill English, the line was running, she had to do a very similar thing, and I think they've taken the same approach, just cutting off at the pass, and they will deal with potentially the Greens when they get to that negotiating table. I don't think there's any danger of the Greens saying, right, we're going to walk away, we're not going to do it. So I think she's rolling the dice on that and presuming that if those parties are both in a position to talk, the Greens will be there.
Yeah. So given that you've sort of talked about last-ditch effort for National in the last few days, what could this election throw up in terms of the caucuses that any leaders could be sitting down with after the weekend?
Well, for National, and look, we're just talking about current polling, that's the only sort of benchmark that we have, but they could potentially lose about 13 MPs out of their caucus, and there's going to be quite a change of face of the National Party if that happens. In the really safe National seats, we have a number of conservative Christians, a number of white men, and if the numbers go as we expect them, they could lose quite a few of their women, Maori and Pacific MPs, so a real loss of diversity there. And then on the flip side, again on current polling, Labour could pick up potentially another 14, and they would actually increase the diversity. Now, of course, that always comes when you get a bigger caucus, just by the nature of it. But we're going to have two quite different looking caucuses than in this last term if those numbers come to pass.
Yeah, so there's some quite high-profile MPs when you think about Hutt South with Chris Bishop, and even down in Nelson with Nick Smith as well. These are, well, potentially the hatchet is over their heads, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we saw the departure of people like Nikki Kay and Amy Adams before all of this, who really did represent, I suppose, the more liberal side of the party. But given those safe seats, those MPs, I can't see them not winning. So the likes of Chris Penk, Simeon Brown, and even Chris Luxon coming in botany, they're looking pretty safe. So it's the list that makes up that diversity and makes up that mix. So that's potentially what we're going to see with National.
Okay, so what are the possible surprises? As you say, we're just working on the current numbers we've got. That's all we've got. So what could be some of the surprises?
I think we'll be looking really closely at those Māori seats. There are some really interesting races. Obviously, we've talked a lot about New Zealand First, Greens in the Act, but the Māori Party, they've actually run a very, very good campaign, and they've run an electorate-based campaign. And Waiariki is really interesting. There's a good race on there. So Tamati Coffey is the sitting Labour MP, getting a really good run from Rawiri Waititi. So that'll be one to watch. And also John Tamahere, a very experienced former Labour Cabinet Minister, running up in Tamaki Makaurau. Also in Te Hoa Uru, Debbie Ngāwera Packer has run a really good, strong campaign. So they've got a couple of opportunities, and they only need to get one electorate seat to be back in Parliament. They won't get to that 5% threshold, so that's their only way back in.
Yeah, and Winston Peters, has the fight gone out of him?
He's still fighting. He said he's feeling good. He is looking for what he calls that last surge, whether it's too late or not. He will not admit defeat. We asked him today whether he'll still be there. He is still saying he's in the race and is very focused on election day. I did ask him if by chance he was here after the election, would he take the same approach if he was in a position to hold any talks in terms of waiting till specials, or would he have a timetable like he did in 2017, and he just wouldn't even go there? He said he's focused on election day and not looking any way past that.
Okay, Jane, that is great update. Jane Patterson, our political editor, and obviously we'll keep keenly watching the race in the next couple of days.